here at the beginning of the fourth round, and the situation is getting much more desperate. The plantations are full. The slave catchers are really blocking our passage through the north. We have a lot of escaped slaves close to the border trying to get into the north. We still have 4 support tokens to purchase. We're low on funds, so we're going to have to try to do a lot of things in this round. We have to try and free up room on the plantation because we have at least 7 slaves coming from the market to the plantation, and we want to lose 0, but if we have to, we want to lose as many as possible. We don't want to lose any. We got to try and manipulate and move these slave catchers around also. We do have some cards here that may help us get more escaped slaves into the north and into Canada. But we're going to start with the Stockholder right after we do the first part and do the slave catcher phase and see if we can somehow get away without anyone getting captured this round. And we got the yellow moving the direction of the white arrows 3 times. Our yellow slave catcher is going to move 3 towards the yellow, towards the white arrows, and that's further to the west. Going to be on the same spot here with the blue. And it may have worked out for us. It may have opened up a passage through the center of the country here. And I think it did open up a safe passage because these 2 slaves that were right here can move up to Cleveland and into Canada. By the time the yellow and blue make their way back, they would be gone. And if he moves here, the purple will come over. So I think we're in much better shape. Plus that would draw both of these over, opening the west back up. Plus we have some going to the, so okay. I think we're doing pretty good. But right now we're in the planning phase with the Stockholder, and he does have some money. So he could purchase a token. Definitely want to get a funding token. There's nothing that's limiting us from getting anything there. So I will go ahead and take the free fundraising token, and now I have to decide how I want to spend his money. He has 3, so I can buy tokens from here too. And I have to remember this time that he will get 1 during the action phase. $1, that is. And also, after he uses his fundraising token, he can get an additional token from the board. So I have to try and maximize my fundraising also. Let me think about which one I want to purchase, if any. I decided to spend all 3 to get the one that allows me to move 4 slaves, 1 each. Because I want to maximize my potential funds, so that way I can move some slaves up here, but I can also get some to escape from these plantations and into areas where we have supporters that can give us some financial support. The planning phase for the agent means we could use his one-time ability. During the planning phase, move 1 slave from each of the slave market deliveries currently on the board and return them to the supply. But we have to remember, as soon as we do that, he's now limited to moving only 1 instead of 2. But I think this is the proper time to do it because we have 2 slave markets that have 7 on them. If I wait till the next turn, this 5 and 7 will move down, and maybe we'll get another 5 or a 6. I think to maximize the effectiveness of this card, I want to do it now when there's 2 7s on the board. So I'm going to use his one-time action, flip his card over, and now we can remove 1 from each of these markets. So that's 1 less we have to worry about coming to the plantations. Unless somebody gets caught by a slave catcher, then those markets will start to fill back up again. He doesn't have any money, but there is one fundraising token left, and we will take that. We'll start the action phase for the stockholder, get his dollar. Let me see. I want to definitely move up through the middle of the country here. And I want to wait to use my fundraising token because after I make my moves, I should be able to get enough on the board where I can purchase another support token. But I also want to keep enough to purchase, move one slave from a large northern city directly to Canada. I want to purchase that for $1 and move that slave out of Boston into safety in Canada. So I want to make sure I leave one for that also. I'll spend my token so I can move 4. The first one I'm going to move is into Cleveland. And moving into Cleveland gives me another $1. Plus it gains the attention of the yellow and the blue. And I see that I made an error. Yes, I did. Okay. Let's get back where we were here. Now what happened is I followed the arrow of the blue slave catcher instead of the yellow when I moved. So this yellow would have moved 3 this direction. 1, 2, 3. Which means that our slave would have been caught, and they get populated back onto the bottom market and then working upwards. I still would have used that card. Nothing else is going to change. He did pass over this slave, so we don't have to worry about that, but we did get one that got caught and returned to the market. And as I said, I would have used this card during my planning phase anyway, because I would have had an extra one on here that I wanted to take care of. I still would have moved. See, now if I move to Cleveland, that's going to cause another slave to get caught. I don't know if he gets caught, does he go to that second slave market, or since it's a different action, do they populate at the bottom again? Let me check. It would be a separate action. So we would start back at the bottom again, because the rule book says if you have multiple slaves that are caught at the same time, you start at the bottom and then populate upwards. And if you have more than 3, then you start at the bottom again. That one that got caught was in the slave catcher phase, and this would be totally different during the action phase. So if I get somebody captured again, they're going to go on the bottom card, putting us with 8 on that bottom market. So I have to decide if moving to the north, and I think it is probably worth it at this time, because then it'll bring the blue over and open up a corridor to the west here to move into Canada for this slave here. So now we're in that bad position of talking about letting somebody get caught on purpose for the benefit of others to escape. But I'm going to take a look at the map and see if I can avoid that. I don't believe there's any other way. I could be missing something, but I just think things are so tight down here with every space being populated and basically surrounded by slave catchers now that somebody is going to get captured. So if I'm going to get captured, I should at least do something that's going to benefit many. So I'll go ahead and continue with that move to Cleveland, gain the dollar in support, and that will bring the yellow and the blue both towards the east. Now I have 3 moves left. I can start working my way up the coast now, because that's going to draw the blue right back over. Yeah. Plus I want to populate more spaces down here before I use my fundraising action. Let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, only 4 spaces covered right now. And that would only give me 6. I definitely need to populate more spaces down here right now. So if I move off the plantation for 1, 2, well that would be my third move. I have one more move that I can make. For my final move, I'm going to move off that plantation, which will attract the attention of the brown slave catcher. And the reason I want to do that is I want to move from the ship off the coast into New York eventually, and New York is going to give me $3 in revenue, and it'll draw the brown slave catcher back and the blue further to the east, leaving this corridor open, which I'll probably be the action I do with the agent on his special ability. But that's also going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that'll give me 9. It's still not enough to buy a token, or to buy a support token, that is. And this says at the beginning of the action phase, discard this card to switch positions of 2 abolitionist cards in the queue. I forgot that it said at the beginning. So I have a couple of choices here. I can either... No. I made the mistake. I've already started my action phase and moved people and spent tokens, so I'm not going to go back and say, oh, I would have done that. I just have to deal with the mistake. I'll use my fundraising token and get 7 in revenue. And now I could purchase a token. Maybe there's a way for me to still do this. Let me look at the cards here and the board and see what I can do. I'm going to choose not to purchase a token after my fundraising action this time. I will spend 3 to purchase Oberlin, Ohio. And I can move 4 slaves a single space or purchase a token at a $4 discount, which I will do. I will purchase a support token, which is normally 10 but now costs 6, and I have 6 that I can spend, so I was still able to get another support token. And I have to remember next time to use this at the beginning of my action phase instead of, because that would have made things a lot easier. I would have been able to do a lot more if I would have remembered that. But I'm not going to worry about that. Things don't always go as you want them to. I played my tokens. I purchased a card. I used his abilities. I don't think there's anything else left that we're going to do with the stockholder. So we'll move over to the agent, who's going to receive 1 at the beginning of his action phase. And I can move 1 slave 1 space during the action phase. To maximize revenue and gain the attention of the slave catchers, we will move into New York, and that'll bring the brown slave catcher back and the blue over to the east. New York gives us 3. We'll get the agent ready for the coming rounds. Use the fundraising token to gain 7. He's doing pretty good here. Let me make some So put those back and grab another 5. So he has 11 now, which is very good. He'll be ready to make some purchases in the next planning phase. I could use Uncle Tom's Cabin which will allow me to swap places of 2 cards and purchase a token at a $3 discount. I could purchase the final support token right now. We're in the 4th round. We got 4 rounds to go. But if I do that, I'm going to lose this card because I can't swap a card to a blank space. So swapping these around, I'm going to lose one of these ones to move directly to Canada. So I think I'll hold off on that because it's going to slide down and we can get that support token because he's going to have the money built up and ready to go. But the stockholder is out of money, which is not good because he's not going to be able to get anything in the planning phase. But if I purchase this support token, it'll open up the next time period, and then these tokens would be available for the stockholder. So do I want to do that and lose this card? Or do I not want to do it, buy this card, and then the stockholder has no money? Let me think about it. I've decided to make the purchase. That way the stockholder will have access to money and we'll be into our final era there. So I'll spend 2 on Uncle Tom's Cabin, and I can purchase a token at a $3 discount. So I need to spend 7, and we'll purchase the final support token from that era. And before we change the deck, I can swap the places of 2 cards in the abolitionist queue. These 2 are going to go away on this end, and I think it'd be better to have Anthony Burns, which lets me move from a large northern city to Canada, instead of John Price Rescue that lets me move a slave from a small northern space, which I don't have anybody on a small north. Oh, I do up there, but that's pretty close to Canada already. I think moving from New York or Boston, well, Boston, because Boston's 3 steps away and New York's only 2, be more beneficial. So I'll swap the place of those 2 cards. That way the one that I lose will be the John Price Rescue. These go away. Now we're just drawing from this stack now, but these are immediately available now. There's nothing else that I can do right now, which is unfortunate, because now that's going to move us into the slave market phase, and we're going to lose slaves for the first time during the game. I can only place 3 of these 8 on the plantation, which means these 5 slaves, sadly, are going to be lost, and they're going to be placed on the card in the upper right. Our cards move down. And our next one is a 5. That's good. It's going to be a little bit easier to manage. The lantern phase means we'll lose these 2 cards on the end. Anthony Burns will slide down, and now we're going to repopulate with 4 new cards from our new time period. And we have the Copper Union Speech. Move 3 slaves 1 space each, or purchase a token at full cost. Next we have an opposition card. Farron Riots. Remove from the game the top conductor and fundraising tokens from the current period. Resolve when removed. That means if this card gets removed, then we're going to lose. Wow. Okay. That means we would lose the top conductor and fundraising token from the current period. So all these top ones would go away, leaving us with just the gray ones underneath. Or if the gray ones are the ones showing, does that mean they're gone and we don't have access to them anymore? By the wording on the card, yes. Wow, hope that doesn't happen. Follow the drinking gourd. Retrieve one lost slave from the slave's lost track and place it back in a large northern city with no effect. Well, thank goodness that card's here. We can actually save somebody back from the slaves lost. That's big. I like that that's there. It makes me feel a little bit better. William Still. Move 2 slaves from a single large northern city directly to Canada. Wow. 2 slaves from a large northern city. That might come in really useful near the end of the game. And we'll move our lantern over to make our agent the first player again. And look at the situation we're currently in. We still have some good cards here that are going to help us. Our plantations are still full. We do have good number of slaves up here in the northeast that are getting ready to go into Canada. We have a slave here in Cleveland that's getting ready to move into Canada if he doesn't get caught here at the last minute. We've opened our western corridor back up, so we're going to start moving slaves back to the west. And we do need to free up some room on the plantation, and hopefully if we can minimize our captures also. We only have 4, so we can hopefully open up 4 spaces. It's going to be hard with the lack of funds here, but we'll make do with what we have. And hopefully we can get our last 2 support tokens soon and get our slaves out of here and into the north free before our 8th turn. Hoping for a good roll this time and nobody gets captured. We have the brown moving in the direction of the white arrows 3 times, and I think that is bad. And yes, that is a bad thing. Moving 3 in the direction of the white arrows means that one of our slaves was captured and will get sent back to the slave market. And now we have a slave catcher right in the middle, right outside our plantations. We're here in the planning phase again. We only have $2 for the agent. He can only move 1 slave. I want to move some slaves around, so I'll spend his 2 and we'll purchase this token from the first period for 2, so we can at least move 3, and then we'll get a fundraising token also. And now we'll move over to the planning phase for the Stockholder, and it's not looking good either, but we'll take this last fundraising token, and that'll help in case the Farron riots happen. There'll be nothing there for us to lose, at least in that space. And if we end up losing these, at least we still have the tokens here available to us. We do get $1 for the agent at the beginning of the action phase here. And now he can move 1 slave during the action phase, just 1 space. Now we did get this brown slave catcher that came all the way down into the Carolinas to get us. But we can draw them back up north, and we can do so by moving to Washington, D.C. And if we do that, we're also going to draw the purple over to the east, which will open up the west even more. And we'll get $2 in revenue. I think that's the choice we'll take, and that'll move these two slave catchers. Now we have a nice big corridor open here on the west, and we got them clogged up in the middle of the country, so they're going to have to go a long distance either way to get to the coasts. Well, the coast here or the western part of the territories that we have at this time. And we're going to gain $2 for going into Washington, $2 in support. And we have our tokens now. If I fundraise now, I would get 5. I could move first. I think that's probably a good idea. I should probably move and get this slave out of Cleveland to end his safety. And is there any way to maximize? No, because if I move here, the yellow will catch us. If I move here, the brown catches us. If I move here, the orange will move right next to us. Then I can move out of the plantation. Oof, it's not looking good. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to move many slaves off the plantations. I do have the cards available, though. The Copper Union speech will allow me to move 3 slaves 1 space also. And with my token I could move also. That'll give me a chance to move 6 around. And then when the stockholder comes up, he can purchase the Anthony Burns card and get that slave out of Boston into Canada. Alright, how do I want to play this? I'm going to spend the $1 to get the Copper Union speech, and I'm going to choose to move 3 slaves 1 space each. And the moves I want to make. How do I want to make them? Where do I want to go? Let's get the slave from Cleveland safely into Canada. We'll move this slave into Iowa, which will gain us $1 in support, but it's going to gain the attention of the purple and the blue slave catchers. But it will also open up room in the middle here now to get out of Ripley into Ohio, which will bring the purple back and gain us another $1. So that's all 3 of my moves there. Now I have my tokens that I can use. I'll use my token to move 3 slaves 1 each, and that's the gray token, so it'll go back on the board. And I'm going to move, let's move up here, way in the north. 1 step away from Canada. It'll gain the attention of the yellow and draw him back. We'll gain $1 in support. That will open up this space now so we can move off of a plantation. But it'll bring the yellow right back. And then I have 1 move left. And we'll move, if I move into Cleveland, is that safe? Yes. If I move into Cleveland, that'll bring the blue over, the yellow back up, and we'll gain another $1. I'll use my fundraising token to gain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is enough. Let me make some change there. So now we have 11, which is good. So during our next planning phase, we have enough to purchase a support token. So we're set up good there. But the bad thing is we still have too many people on the plantation and we're going to lose slaves. But I believe that's it for his action phase. He bought a card already. He used 2 tokens. Okay. And that's all. So we'll move over to the Stockholder. Stockholder will gain his 1. I should probably flip him over so he can start gaining 2. During your action phase, spend 3 tokens. I don't know if I can do that and not spend the 3 tokens, because that would seem like almost like cheating. Like I could just flip that over at the beginning of the game and say, oh, I'm on the other side now. So I think you would have to have the 3 tokens to spend to make it proper. I'll spend, and that'll be our final fundraising token, so we're going to have to find funds a different way from now on. Looks like it's going to give me 5. Yeah. So he has 6 now. Now he can buy a token because of his special ability. I didn't forget to use his card. I want the card here because I'm going to use that later to get this Fair and Riots way back over here so it doesn't go into effect anytime soon. I can purchase a token though, and I have 6. I want to save 1 for the Anthony Burns card. Which token do I want to purchase though? I could spend 4 and I can move 5-1 or 3-2. I'll spend 4 and purchase the 5-1. Move 5 slaves, 1 each, and I'll use that right away. That'll be the second token I would use this time. And now I have to figure out how to do this in a smart way. I'm going to draw this brown slave catcher to the north by moving to Philly. And that's going to gain me an additional $2 in support, which will open up the area here, and I can get some people off the plantation, because if I move off the plantation for a second move, that will bring him back. Third move would bring the orange into Ripley. Fourth would move me to Charlotte. I can't get anyone else off the plantation right now, so I have 1 left. What would be the best move to make right now for my final? Instead of moving into Canada from Cleveland, I'm going to move to Rochester. Draw the yellow over a little bit further and gain another $2 in support. Now I have enough finances, so my next planning phase I can actually make purchases. If I'm going to spend 1 to get the Anthony Burns card, move 1 slave from a large northern city directly to Canada, and I still think Boston is the best one to move from, because New York is only 2 steps away and Boston is 3. So we'll move from Boston into Canada. Stockholder has used both of his tokens that he had. He purchased a card. I can't spend a 3rd token, so I can't use my special ability in any fair way. Don't think there's anything else I can do right now. I'm not going to use my reserve card because I have to do that at the beginning of the action phase. That's going to end and take us again, sadly, into our slave market phase. And we are going to lose slaves again, but it's not as horrific as the last time when we lost 5 slaves. This time we're going to lose 2, which is still bad, but of course not as bad as losing 5. We'll move our cards down. And that's the last one, and that's a 6. Go to the lantern phase. There were no cards there to discard. So now we'll move on to drawing. Harriet Beecher Stowe. Purchase a token at a $5 discount. That's extremely powerful. And we have another reserve card. Civil War. During one of this player's action phases, ignore the movement of all slave catchers during a single action, then discard this card. Wow. That's also definitely a very powerful card. Our current situation, it looks a little bit better, but we have lost 7 slaves. We'll be able to get one back, which is good. We need to get more slaves into Canada, and we're pretty close with a couple. We got 2 slaves up in the north and the northeast. They're only 1 step away. We got 2 that are 2 steps away from making it into Canada, or 2 moves away. We have to get some of these other slaves moving up towards the north so we can make room on these plantations down here, because we don't want to get close to losing too many slaves. I don't like losing any, but it's too late for that. We have to control this, which I can do with that card. I can swap something out, and I think I might bring Harriet Beecher Stowe over here, because then I could just spend 1, and it would only cost me 6 to purchase. Okay. But we're out of fundraising, so we have to get all our money through movements, which means we may have to move some people into some dangerous areas just to generate the money we need, because we still have 2 support tokens to purchase. We'll see how we do. Pass the lantern over so the stockholder can go first in this next and 6th round.